Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We are going to be in the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 9. And there sat in a window a certain young man named, I can't say the name. I'm not even going to try, but you can see clearly that it's right there. That is his name. Sorry, my bad. Being fallen into a deep sleep, and as Paul was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep, and fell down from the third loft, and was taken up dead. We're going to repeat that. And there sat in a window a certain young man named, ta-da, being fallen into a deep sleep, and as Paul was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep, and fell down from the third loft, and was taken up dead. Here's the thing. Everybody gets too comfortable in church. We are so satisfied with our teacher, our tidy classrooms, and the beautiful sanctuary. Worship time begins, and it feels like a routine. Christians are being called to minister to people worldwide and continue. Everyone has an opportunity to hear. But we are guilty of becoming lazy, drifting off course. So we must call upon the Lord for spiritual renewal. His Spirit needs to fill not only that place and the people in it, but needs to open up our eyes and awaken our hearts to new ministries. We can't be getting too comfortable. I think this is what this is referring to when it talks about that he fell asleep, was the lukewarm people. Now, let's get a little bit more subject about when it comes to the lukewarm people. Yes, everybody knows the whole famous saying that, oh, God will spit you out if you're lukewarm. But do a lot of people really understand the real meaning of what it means to be lukewarm? Now, they may think, oh, it's just people who are that kind of know God and don't really do like this and that about it. Oh, well, here's another thing. Or people who don't really know too much about Christ but believe in him, and that's the extent of it. Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of people who are lukewarm that actually was on fire for Christ. They actually had a good relationship with Jesus. That actually used to go here and there and do anything. They volunteer for everything at the church. They're there every Sunday, every Bible study on during the weekdays. They do everything. And here's the thing: they are somewhat what they think is what is called being on fire for God. But actuality, they're sitting still because they don't think they need to improve. See, whereas you got these newcomers that are coming in and don't know that much, doesn't make them lukewarm. It just means that they're still babies. They still have time to learn. They still, just because they're not exactly on fire, God is slowly reeling them in. There's still fish on the line. So it may take a little bit time to reel them in. That don't make them lukewarm. That makes them still babies. Trying to, before they even get caught, before they even get put into the fishing boat. Lukewarm? Oh, those ones that perfect example is people who have a very high IQ. And they sit there and think that they're intelligent, that they're just so smart that there's nothing else they could possibly learn. Now, see, here's the thing about that. There's no one that is ever going to be too smart to where they can't learn anything. The moment you start thinking that you don't need to know anything because you're so smart and you believe that everything has been revealed to you, you're not going to gain nothing. You're not going to learn nothing. You're already at the smartest level that you could ever be. You can never get no smarter. But those who are willing to accept no matter how much they know, no matter how much they believe that God has revealed to them, no matter how many times they have read this Bible, no matter how many times they've heard the preacher's sermon. Oh, I've been going to church for 10 years. I've heard every bit of the Bible preached any and every which way. There's nothing more that nobody can show me. There's nothing more. And so they think that they're great. They think that, they're at this place, but no, they couldn't get any higher. Those are lukewarm people. Because they think that there's nothing left that they can possibly do. That there's nothing for them to do. When all it is they're just sitting there. They're not gaining nothing. They're not doing anything. And they think that they're just fine. No, they're not. Just because you sit there and continue on, and you still show up, and it seems like you may be somewhat on fire because you're still going and doing this, but you're not willing to know nothing. You're not willing to gain nothing. You think you've already achieved everything that there is to achieve. That is part of the lukewarm community. It's not just referring to people who has gone and has backslidden, or just say, oh yeah, I believe. And I do good. I listen to the church sermons on Sundays, and I attend the Bible study, and that's all I need to do. That's not all it's referring to. You got people out there that sit there and think there is possibly nothing else that they can learn. They're at a standstill. And if you feel that you have learned everything, then maybe you need to go somewhere else and learn, get your teachings from somebody else. Because there is so much more. And each part of this Bible, each thing meant more than just one meaning. And if you think that there's nothing for you to read, that the Bible cannot teach you anything possibly else, then you need to get on your knees and pray to God and say, God, please reveal to me. Because there's so much realization in this Bible. So many things. There's just no possible way that even in your whole lifetime could you possibly learn all that there is to know. You got to remember, we're about to spend all eternity, everlasting, forever and ever, ever and ever, and ever and ever, and ever and ever and ever, and ever and ever, and ever and ever, and ever and ever and ever and ever, ever, and ever and ever and ever and ever. Up in heaven with God. You think that he made this to where we're going to get tired of hearing it? That there's going to be possible things that we could not possibly know? You're sadly mistaken if you think that you have learned all that there is to possibly know and in your lifetime on this earth. So don't get too, on your high horse. To think that you have been this great Christian and has learned all these things and has been revealed all these things and you have known this and known that. You're always going to be learning something, no matter how long you've been in the church, no matter how many times you've read that Bible, no matter how many sermons you've gone and heard. There's always something new to learn. God will always be teaching you. And if you can't get past what you've already learned, then maybe you need to speak to God to show and reveal to you, God, what have I not seen? Where do I need to go so I can learn something more that you are that there is for me to know? Because there's so much stuff and so much meaning in every story. There's no way that you could possibly already know it all. God is willing. He loves it when people ask him. He loves to give his wisdom out. He loves to show you new things. He wants you to be hungry. He wants you to be thirsty. It's an ever-living water. That means it never stops. Go get your vessel. Meet him at that well and let him pour that ever-living water into your vessel. You should always be. You will never thirst again, but he's going to constantly keep pouring that water into you. So you need to always be hungry for that bread of life. Always be thirsty for that ever-living water. And he will feed you, and he will give you thirst. You just got to be hungry for that knowledge. Ask them. Don't be lukewarm.